Alright guys, it is part 2, story 2. Let's go. Woo!
I moved into Michael's apartment a month after losing my job at the warehouse. I was 21, had $800 to my name, and was completely out of options. The Craigslist listing advertised an available room with utilities included for $300 a month. It was suspiciously cheap for the area, but I wasn't in a position to be picky. Michael answered the door wearing a white t-shirt and jeans that looked like he'd been wearing them for ages. He was maybe 35 and had the kind of mid-face that could be easily forgotten. The room he showed me was just as unimpressive. It only had a mattress on the floor, a closet with a missing door, and a window facing a brick wall. But at that time, even the bare room had felt like my best option. I agreed to move in the same evening. The apartment started feeling wrong right away, though I couldn't pinpoint why. Maybe it was the excessive cleaning or the lack of furniture and personal touches in the house. The living room had a single couch, a TV, and completely bare walls. When I asked how long he'd lived there, dude said 5 years, but the place looked like he'd moved in yesterday. That first night, I woke up at around 2 a.m. to a low murmur from somewhere in the apartment. When I looked, Michael was standing in the bathroom with the light on, talking to the mirror. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but his lips were moving, and he kept nodding like the reflection was responding to him. I closed my door quietly and got back into bed. Told myself he was on the phone or maybe rehearsing for something. The next morning, by the time I woke up, Michael had already prepared coffee and offered me a cup. While I was drinking it, he grinned and said, "You should watch more quietly next time, Clay." I stared at him, stunned. I don't know what you mean," I stammered. "Last night, when you opened your door, the hinges squeaked." He chuckled, taking a sip. "It's fine now. All of them initially make the same mistakes." "All of who?" I asked, but he'd already gotten up and walked out, humming some old song. The conversation had made me uneasy.
I'm moving out.
Over the next few days, I started paying more attention and noticed Michael almost always kept the door down the hallway bolted. When I asked him about it, he said it was the basement. "It has some really personal stuff and is totally off limits. Please, never go down there, okay?" But I'd hear him spend nights down there. I told myself it was none of my business. I was paying rent for a room, and what he did in his basement wasn't my concern. Then, one night, I woke up and heard him unlock the basement door. I lay there in the dark, listening to his footsteps descend. I tossed and turned. At the end, curiosity got the better of me, and I got up. I opened my door and snuck out. The basement door was open, and light was illuminating the staircase. I could hear Michael's soft murmurs and occasional hiccups. He was talking to someone. I crossed the hallway and started down the stairs, making sure the steps didn't creak under my weight. As I descended lower, an awful odor made my head spin. I covered my nose with my elbow and kept going. My heartbeat had picked up, and bile rose in my throat. From the bottom of the stairs, I saw that Michael was kneeling on the concrete floor with his back to me. He was sobbing, embracing a log-like thing covered with a tarp. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Duff. I didn't want to. You have to understand, it had to be done." He pulled back the tarp. I saw what was underneath, and my legs almost gave out. It was a decomposed body, so much so that I couldn't tell who it was. The smell hit me, and I had to cover my mouth to keep from gagging. Michael kept talking to it, running his hand over what was left of its hair. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and started recording. Got maybe 30 seconds of footage before I backed up the stairs as quietly as I could. Somehow, I got into my room and locked the door before I called 911. My heart was hammering so hard I could barely speak. The police arrived within 15 minutes. I met them outside and showed them the video. They went in with their guns drawn. I waited on the sidewalk, expecting to hear shouting or a struggle. But when they brought Michael out 5 minutes later in handcuffs, he wasn't fighting. He was smiling, as if he was relieved. As they walked him past me, he looked right at me and said, "Thank you. I've been needing someone to see." The officers took him to their car. One of them stayed behind and talked to me. They'd found the body was of a man named David, who had been Michael's roommate for a long time. The officer explained that Michael had lost control during a heated argument one night and killed David in a fit. He was dead for months. Michael had kept him in the basement all that time. When they searched the apartment, they found journals filled with pages about his guilt. Michael wanted to turn himself in, but couldn't make himself do it. I desperately wanted someone to find out and force his hand. I just happened to be that someone. It has been a year, and I'm still messed up. I'm crashing back at my parents' place. Got a new gig, and I'm talking to a therapist who knows all about this trauma. But I can't shake it. I'm still a kid who went down those stairs. My parents are insisting I get out and live my life. And someday I gotta move on, because they ain't gonna be there for me forever.
Did you get scared, bro?
I tell
Did you
them
get scared?
that just thinking
Did you get
about
scared?
being
Is that
a
my
roommate
name?
gives
Did you
me
get scared?
anxiety.
Are you in there? Alright, stay tuned for part 3.